They busted entire criminal call center operations running out of the Airbnb units. What up, what up, what up? What's happening? Que lo que mi gente. Welcome to Love, Purpose, and Passports. Hope all is well and all the passport ready, a passport getting ready. For those of you that don't know, I am Mr. Pro for you, living in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Introduce this beautiful lady of mine right here. Miss Pro for you.
Hi. Hello.
I can't say that without feeling, you know what I'm saying? I be feeling it like, oh, yeah.
Qué lindo. He's so sweet.
So how you doing today, Miss Pro?
I am doing wonderful today. I'm excited about the video we have going on today. A lot of good information for everybody.
It is. And today, we're pulling back the curtain on what actually happened to the Airbnb short-term rental model in the DR and worldwide. And if you're thinking about buying an Airbnb down here, you need to watch this video before you take that leap. So let's start right here at home, because the DR was one of the hottest short-term rental markets in all of Latin America. Agents were out here pitching hard.
They would say, put 20% down and this Airbnb is going to pay for itself. That's the line that you heard everyone saying everywhere.
Everywhere. And people bought it because on paper, it made sense. The DR is a tourism-driven country. Beautiful weather, beautiful beaches, beautiful culture, beautiful. The demand looked like it would never stop.
And for a while, it did not. New buildings were just coming up everywhere. It was in Santo Domingo, new buildings in Las Terrenas, Punta Cana, Santiago, flooding everywhere.
And by February of 2024, there were 47,474 short-term rental properties listed in the Dominican Republic. Not apartments. That's 47,000 plus Airbnb style listings on one island.
Now the problem, Yamon, with 47,000 listings is that now you have 47,000 competitors.
Exactly. We'll get to that. First, let's talk about what the investors were actually walking into. Because it wasn't just the mortgage they were carrying.
No. See, they financed 80% of the property. And then they piled on the decoration costs on top of that. And all of that is before a single guest even walked through their door.
That's not passive income.
No.
That's a second job with startup costs. Here's where things began to unravel. Because even if you could carry the costs, the market itself started breaking down.
The oversaturation problem was the first one. When every building had a pool, had a gym, it had beautiful decorations. None of those things are like a selling point anymore because everybody has them.
Exactly. They became the bare minimum. And after a few people saw the same apartment on social media, it's no longer new.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many times that you can see the same aesthetic before the market stops being impressed by it.
Yep. But something that's rarely ever mentioned is the hosts had a vision of who's going to be renting their units.
In their minds, they thought tourists and vacationers from all over the world were coming to enjoy the DR.
But what a lot of them actually got, a little different. You know, they were not world travelers.
And well, that changed everything about who was coming through the doors and what they were coming to do.
You started seeing groups of friends splitting the costs. One person checks in, the next one shows up, then another, rotating in and out.
And then the problem was that the people that worked at the front desk, they didn't feel like empowered to say anything about it. You know, someone would come in, they'd say, I'm in room 101, and then just walk right in like nothing. And the people in the front desk would be like, well, I guess he's an Airbnb person.
You know what that reminds me of? Remember during the shutdown when we were at one of our favorite locations?
Yeah.
And next door, it was like 10 couples that pieced up on the on the bill.
They did. They did. They did. They took it upon themselves to all collaborate and decide that they wanted to be in one location.
One room. I mean, there wasn't a lot of places open at that time. This was one of the places that was open. And I mean, every other room you could just hear like, is it a party going on in every room?
There was a party. There was a party going on in every room.
So they already have a history of that and realize, okay, we can do the same thing here.
Yeah.
In these Airbnbs. So back to what we were talking about, then, after that kind of thing happens, you had, a high turnover from others using it as a cabana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, families are seeing a rotation of a certain element in and out of their buildings.
And here's the root of the problem. When a building is clearly defined, like for example, the short-term rentals will be on this side, and then the residenciales will be like on this side. A situation like that can work. Everybody kind of knows what the rules are, The rules are clear and the uses are completely separate.
But when you're mixing them together in the same building, long-term residents, Airbnb guests, a lot of times there's no clear rules for that.
So then who controls the common areas, right? Who sets the noise policy? Who has the authority to say something when a guest is out of line?
Good question. The permanent residents should have been setting those standards from day one, but it never happened.
And without those rules, the clashes were inevitable. Complaints started piling up. The short-term rental businesses started falling apart because of all of the conflicts with the people that actually lived in the residenciales they were having.
I can understand that. And the people who ran these Airbnbs, most didn't feel they were doing anything wrong.
No.
They were just doing what they rented the place to do. That's how they behaved.
But I mean, in some cases, they broke furniture. They left trash in the hallway. They had clothes hanging off the balcony. And, it was just noise at all hours.
Yep. One resident came out of their apartment and found a bag they believed was trash sitting right outside their door. No idea who left it. No idea who to call.
Right. And then so when the Airbnb guests came back and saw that it had been moved, there was a pretty uncomfortable confrontation. At the end of it all, the resident was left asking the same question, like, so who do I complain to? Who am I supposed to talk to about this?
Exactly. I mean, you're going to have a fight, with a stranger,
That when there's a new stranger every couple of days?
Exactly. It's a lot of fights because, really, the people who were there, they're checked out by Friday.
Yeah.
So it's just really no accountability.
Yeah. Before Airbnb, these same guests would just go to a private hotel. That hotels have rules of conduct. You can't just go into a hotel and do anything that you want at like a 4-star property. No. They have staff, they have management. No. There's consequences for stuff that you do there.
It is. In a residential building with rotating strangers, not happening.
So then let's talk about the amenities.
Gyms, TVs were stolen in the gyms, weights stolen, co-working spaces vandalized.
Yeah, because of that, a lot of residenciales decided that they were going to lock it down. Like they decided to shut those areas. Buildings that were sold as luxury lifestyle properties with amenities that were part of like that pitch to sell, now they had nothing open for anyone anymore.
Nope. One building ended up splitting their pools into 2 sides. One for permanent owners, one for Airbnb guests. Y'all get over there.
That's crazy. And then they started charging guests extra to use the common areas. Because, I mean, somebody had to pay for everything that was going on.
Exactly. And you already know, the moment you charge a guest extra, they go find somewhere else cheaper, which means more vacancy, which means less income for the owner, which means even less money to maintain the building.
It became like a no-win cycle that just kept happening with no solution.
Yep. You have situations where residents start getting roaches when they never had roaches before. Then they trace it back to an Airbnb unit that's not being cleaned regularly because there's no financial pressure to do so.
Exactly. And then, check this out. The criminal element enters the chat. These people have taken it to a completely different level.
There are people who have gone on social media and publicly admitted after committing crimes that they went straight to an Airbnb, checked in, laid low, checked out, no questions asked. And it goes even further than that. They busted entire criminal call center operations running out of the Airbnb units.
Can you imagine that? Just think about that for a second. What does it take to run a call center? You got to have the phones, you got to have the scripting, you got to have the setup. You have to have a fully functioning, operational, fraudulent establishment going on inside a short-term rental. Like, you're right next to them.
Right there. And I mean, you know, we've done videos on call center businesses here in DR.
The infrastructure that it takes, man, like just the staffing, the setup, the fact that criminals figured out how to replicate all of that inside of Airbnb and then disappear before anyone noticed anything is incredible to me.
It tells you a lot about the problems owners and residents are facing.
Yeah. So let's add it all up. We got the oversaturated market, wrong guess for the wrong product, a coexistence breakdown, amenities destroyed, buildings deteriorating, criminal operations running out of units, and the returns aren't coming in the way that anyone projected them to come in. So what does all of this mean moving forward?
Because this is still happening. So what's coming?
Right. Governments around the world are now treating short-term rentals as a housing crisis driver, and they're responding accordingly.
Bans, registration requirements, zoning restrictions. The regulatory environment around short-term rentals is tightening everywhere, and that changes the math on future investments.
Yeah, for the DR specifically, you're looking at a market correction. 47,000 plus listings competing for the same tourist pool. Long-term rental demands that never went away. A housing gap for Dominican families that never got filled.
And the investors who bought in at the peak of the Airbnb race, they're making decisions right now.
Yeah.
Some are holding, some are converting, some are selling.
Hosts and residents are both going to feel what comes next. The rules are changing. The market is changing.
Now, whether those changes fix what's broken between the two or create new problems, nobody can tell you that yet, but something's going to give.
So if you found this video useful or you have anything to add to it, let us know in the comments. We would love to hear from you.
And you know what else we'd love to hear? That you liked
and subscribed.
Love, purpose, and passports.
Love, purpose, and Airbnbs.
Peace.
Bye.